Hello guys, my name is Umo. I'm a fashion designer and instructor. Welcome to Invest Your Pattern Drafting, a channel where I share my expertise in garment construction and pattern drafting through sewing tutorials. Today's tutorial is going to be on how to draft the pattern for this sort of culotte pants. So essentially a culotte pant is an A-line skirt divided into two. So before I drafted the pattern for this culotte pants, I first drafted the pattern for a straight skirt, from which I drafted my A-line skirt using slash and spread method, and then that is what we're going to be using as the foundation for this tutorial. So to understand what I'm going to be doing in this tutorial, you have to follow the link in the description box to watch the tutorial on how I drafted the straight skirt as well as the A-line skirts. So here are the materials that we're going to be needing for this tutorial. You might also need between 2.5 and 3.5 yards of Ankara fabric, and here are the measurements that you would need, or some of the measurements that you would need for this tutorial. However, and this is how to take the measurements, and however, for the crotch length of this culotte pants, don't make it as firm as when you're taking that measurement. Don't make the tape rule, try to make the tape rule a bit loose at that point. Don't make it as firm as when you are taking the measurement for a straight pant. Okay, so I started with my A-line skirt pattern. This is the A-line skirt pattern that I had drafted, and this is what we're going to be using for the tutorial. So I've gone ahead to get fresh pattern paper, and I am going to measure 9 inches from the vertical edge of my pattern paper inwards, just as you can see me doing. So measure 9 inches and draw out the vertical line. So after doing that, get the pattern for your A-line skirt and align the center front of that pattern with the vertical line you just drew, just as you can see me doing. So ensure that it's properly aligned and it is exactly on that line. So the next step now is to work on our pattern. Okay, so first off, we need our crotch depth. We need to draw out our crotch box. So to do that, you use your crotch depth plus between 3/4 inches to 1/4 inches. So if you're a size 6 to a size 10, use 3/4 inches. That's add 3/4 inches to your crotch depth measurement, guys. And then if you are a size 10 to a size 14, add 1 inch. If you're a size 14 and upwards, add 1/4 inches. So me, I am a size 8 or a 6, I think a big 6, I guess. So I'm using 3/4 inches. So I added 3/4 inches to my crotch depth. So as for this horizontal line that you can see me drawing, that is my hip arc divided by 2 minus 3/4 inches. So guys, your hip arc, you have to go back and watch that tutorial on the basic skirt. Your hip arc is your hip circumference divided by 4. So my hip circumference is 36 divided by 4, that is 9 inches. 9 inches divided by 2 is 4.5 inches, and I'm going to subtract 3/4 inches from that to get that horizontal line. So after drawing out the horizontal line, just square that line downwards. Do you understand? To the hem of your A-line skirt, or to the end of your paper. So that is how we created the crotch box. So the next thing now is to draw a diagonal line from the right angle of your crotch box. So draw a diagonal line. The diagonal line for the front, this is the front pattern that we're drafting, guys. So for the front, the diagonal line is 1.5 inches. So that's what you can see me marking. I'm going to go ahead and mark it with a marker. I just wanted to get it out with a pencil first. So that is 1.5 inches, guys. So just a diagonal line from the right angle of your crotch box. So now the next step is to measure what my whole crotch, what I use for my crotch depth here, and divide that into 2. Do you get? So you can see me folding the tape rule to divide that into 2. So just from my waistline, I measured 2 that right angle of my crotch box, and now I'm going ahead to subtract half an inch from that. Do you understand? So this point I just marked is my point P. So I'm going to label that point P. So now the next step now is to connect that point to my 1.5 inches diagonal line and then to the end of my horizontal crotch box line. Can you see what I'm doing, guys? So that horizontal crotch box line is actually my crotch extension. It's actually my crotch extension line. So can you see, guys? I've gone ahead to connect those 3 points with my curved ruler. So I've connected from point P to the 1.5 inches of the diagonal line, on that 1.5 inch diagonal line, and then to the edge of my crotch extension line, guys. Can you see? So I'm going to go ahead and just square out my hemline. So just square out that point. And so this is basically what my front pattern for my culotte looks like. So guys, remember there's no allowance around, so if when you are cutting, you have to remember to include allowances. So at the hem you can have 1.5 inches, and then at the side seam you can have about 1.5 inches. Remember that these markings on the pattern is for my A-line skirt. So the line here is supposed to actually, the green line here is supposed to be vertical. So this is my back pattern. I've gone ahead to get fresh paper and then place my pattern, the back of my A-line skirt, on the vertical line, 9-inch new vertical line that's parallel to the vertical edge of the pattern paper. So guys, can you see that? So that's the 9 inches, and I've placed my A-line skirts there. So we're going to go ahead and measure the front pattern to derive the points for the back pattern. So from the hem of your skirt, measure to the right angle of your crotch box, guys. So from the hem, measure to the right. Can you see what I am doing? And then also from the hem of your skirt, measure to that point P. Remember that point that I labeled P. So from the hem of your skirt, measure to point P, and then from the hem of your skirt, also measure to the edge of your crotch box. So can you see that, guys? So I'm going to transcribe that measurement onto my back pattern. So I think this is about 8 inches, and then this is about I can't really tell how many inches it is, but from point P, measure to the hem of your paper, and then to the hem of your pattern, and then from the hem also measure to the right angle of your crotch box, and then transcribe that measurement to the back. So can you see what I have done, guys? I've created the point P for the back, and then I'm going ahead to create the right angle for my crotch box. So I'm just going to square out that line. So now to get my horizontal crotch box line, what you do is your hip circumference your hip arc divided by 2 plus 3/4 inches. I hope that is clear, guys. So for the back, it is your hip arc divided by 2 plus 3/4 inches, while for the front, it is your hip arc divided by 2 minus 3/4 inches. So I'm going ahead to also draw the diagonal line. The diagonal line for the back is 1/3 inches. So can you see that, guys? So that's 1/3 inches that I have drawn out there. And so now I'm going to connect from that point P to the 1/3 inches diagonal line, and then to the edge of my crotch extension. My French curve might not be able to connect all the points, so I'll have to use freehand method to connect that crotch, front back crotch extension to the 1 3/4 inches diagonal line. So I'm just going to square that line down. So guys, remember the horizontal line for your front crotch box is your hip arc, which is your hip circumference divided by 4. So your hip arc divided by 2 minus 3/4 inches, while the back is your hip arc divided by 2 plus 3/4 inches. So you can see that the horizontal crotch box line for the back is longer than that of the front. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut out my pattern. So also remember guys, this does not include any form of allowance. So when cutting, remember to include your allowance guys. And if at this point you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and hit the notification to hit the subscribe button guys, and then make sure you hit the notification bell so you get notified when I upload new videos. So guys, this is my back pattern. When you are cutting, make sure that when you're cutting on fabric, ensure that you include your cut out your band. Your band can be about 1 inch or 1.5 inches depending on what you want. So guys, see what I was talking about, the inseam has to align for both front and back. That's why we measured from the hemline. That's why we didn't measure from the waist guys. So can you see it aligns, the inseam aligns. So when you're cutting, cut out with allowance, and your hem can be about 1.5 inches, your side seam to 1.5 inches, and then all the others can be 1/2 inch. So guys, that is the back pattern, and then I'm going ahead to draw my green line for the back as well as for the front. And so guys, this is really the end of the tutorial. If you haven't subscribed at this point, make sure that you subscribe, because this week I would be uploading the tutorials for cargo pants as well as dungarees, and then as well as this. So this is the baggy jumpsuits that we're going to be doing. Then I'm also going to be uploading tutorial for this cargo pants as well as these dungarees guys. So make sure you hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching guys. Ciao.